Hi, thanks for being back here at DirrickWilliams.com. I want to first ask you one thing before we get started, and that is to remember that don't be just another brick in the wall. The book I just wrote will be completed, well, actually, it will be on pre-sale. It's going on pre-sale this month. Look for it at Amazon. Pick up a copy, go to my website, email me, call me, hit me up on Instagram, hit me up on Facebook, buy the book, let's talk about what's inside. I think you're going to find some very, very exciting things in there for you. So check it out. Don't be just another brick in the wall. Dirrick Williams, Amazon, pre-sale now. Get your copy. Well, it sounds kind of forceful, but you know, help a brother out, right? Look, I want to talk to you about something really interesting. Kind of funny, actually. So let me ask you: have you ever seen the movie Forrest Gump? Actually, who hasn't, right? There's a scene in that movie. It's really interesting. Sitting on a bench, talking to Jenny, and I guess the bullies are coming. And I don't know, Forrest can't deal with the bullies, right? I guess he'd like to, but he can't. And right when he gets ready to deal with these bullies, Jenny looks at him and says, "Run, Forrest, run." Remember that? Run, Forrest, run. Oh, God, it's a funny line. We use it all the time. But remember, Forrest had the braces on and he was, stumbling and everything and acting really weird and he couldn't actually go, but the braces broke loose and he was jamming and, just gone like the wind, right? Run, Forrest, run. That's funny. And we're going to talk about that. The question is, what was he running from? What was he running? Was he running out of fear? And he may have been running out of fear, but really, what was he running from? The bullies, bad people, bad attitudes, bad influence, the monkey syndrome, the rat syndrome. The monkey syndrome. We're on a bucket and they'll start pulling you back down. The rat syndrome. When you get to the point where there's nothing else, they start eating each other. It's really weird phenomenon, but the bottom line is people kind of share the same thing. If you don't get away from the people that carry the nasty, bad, the different attitudes, then you can find yourself being devoured. You'll find yourself being pulled back into the bucket. You'll find yourself losing focus. You'll find yourself going down a path that you had no intention going down because you didn't run. And the world needs you to run. You have to run because inside of you is what the world really needs. The world doesn't need complacency. The world doesn't need people who are going to settle. We don't need people who are going to follow. What the world needs are leaders. We need people who will stand up from themselves, inside themselves, for other people. People who will do what is spiritually sound for them to do, something that they know deep inside themselves that only them and their maker know is for them to do. You got to run sometimes to hold your peace. You got to run sometimes to hold your power. You got to run sometimes because you just need to be away from the things that will take you down. The best thing that happened to Forrest Gump in that movie was when Jenny told him to run. His whole life changed after that point. You remember? He ran across the country after that. He ran in Vietnam. He played ping pong. He stood in front of presidents. I mean, he did all that after he broke his braces, after he got away from the bad people, after he ran. And, like I said, it could have been fear, but it was the best thing that ever happened to him. So, you know the old story. Analyze your relationships. Look around you. See what you got going on around you. See who's hanging around with you. Somebody told me once a long time ago, excuse me for breaking thought, but this is really interesting. Somebody said, stand in a room, look in the mirror, and just stand there, nice and easy, and breathe, relax. And then say your friend's name, or say the name of the person. Say Dirrick Williams. If it has an upward inflection, keep them. Or say Bob Jones. If it has a downward inflection, get rid of them. I mean, it sounds pretty simple, but the idea is to inventory your relationships, because as I told you 1,000,000,001 times, and you'll hear it again and again, and you already know, Everything happens in relationship. Spiritual, interpersonal, and public. Everything happens in relationship. You would be surprised if you would begin to understand what happens in the spiritual realm that messes with your brain and messes with your emotion from an interpersonal perspective, and what manifests from you publicly, the life that you present, the life that you manifest. And half the time, or a lot of the time, that comes from the people you are sharing your time with. Run. I used to think sometimes you could probably save people, and hang out long enough, and they might change, and I got hope for them. And I mean, that's good if you're in a mentorship, discipleship situation. That's good if they're a friend of yours and you've been there forever and you're trying to pull them back up to where you know they can be. But at a certain point, you know what? That's their responsibility, not yours. And if they don't get with the program, guess what you need to do? Run, Forrest, run. Do not walk. Do not pass go. Do not collect 200. Just get the hell out of Dodge. Because your life depends on it. What's holding you back right now? What kind of relationships are you holding on to right now? And why? What are you getting out of it? Nobody does anything without wanting something. So what are you getting out of it? What are you getting out of stale relationships? What are you getting out of those negative people? What are you getting out of maybe making yourself feel good? It's kind of like somebody says, or a lot of people say, bullies put other people down so they can fill up, right? I mean, you know that. It's the poor self-esteem, it's the lack of confidence, the feeling of unworthiness that makes them want to suppress other people so they can have some sense of dignity within themselves. That's what we're told. So think about this from another perspective. You got a negative relationship and you know it. You go home every day, you cry about it, you get ticked off about it, you complain about it, you say all these things about these people that are just nagging you and pulling you back and holding you down, but you won't leave. So who's the bully? What are you getting out of this? Why are you holding on to it? Are you making yourself feel good behind the complaining and all the negative statements you make and reliving the same crap over and over and over because you feel some sense of obligation that, I don't know, society, your mom or dad, somebody puts on you? It's not their life, it's yours. Recognize what's going on and run, Forrest, run. You've got to get the hell away. Listen to Jenny. I mean, it's just a movie, but it's a beautiful analogy. Run. Run as fast as you can. Run completely across the nation. And here's the good thing. If it's a relationship that's bound to be something that's going to elevate you, something that's going to take you to the place of fulfillment, something that's going to bring your purpose out, something that's going to satisfy other people, something that's going to change the world, or at least the world you live in, something that's going to cause you to be all you can be, when you get to the point when you start running, guess what? You're going to look to the side one day and you're going to see the person you left behind, and they're going to say, come on, man, catch up, because they figured it out. Or they're going to be right on your heels and they're going to say, damn, dude, you know what? You were there for me, and I'm glad you were there, and I'm glad you walked away. I'm glad you told me that. I'm glad you walked away. I'm glad you spit in my face. I'm glad you told me things I didn't want to hear. I'm glad you pointed out my points and my faults. When people get to the point where they start saying those kind of things to you, then you know you've made the right move. You've made the right move for yourself and for them. And that sense of empowerment comes and it ignites and it deepens a relationship and takes you to a new level. And the next time you get ready to run, you're going to have somebody to run with, because everything happens in relationship. Everything happens in relationship. Not only the good things, but the unwanted things as well too. The things you fear the most happen in relationship. The things you don't want to see happen in your life will happen in relationship. Things that people warn you about will happen in relationship. So what do you have to do? You have to monitor and you have to pay attention to your relationships, spiritual relationships, interpersonal relationships, and watch what happens publicly, how you manifest your life in the public realm. spiritual, interpersonal and spiritual. Everything happens in relationship. So when you get to the point and you start questioning your relationships, you start questioning the people around you, you start feeling the weight, the burden, in an excessive amount. I mean, everybody goes through stuff, and every now and then you just got to chill out and let people go through it. I mean, that's what friendship's all about. You want to hold your friends up. You want to be there for them when they're down. That's what we're here for, right? We're here to support, to love, to honor, and to cherish one another. But if that heroin, that cocaine, that alcohol, those other addictions, those other self-medicating modes become your problem, then guess what? Run, Forrest, run. That's what you got to do. Everything happens in a relationship, good, bad, and indifferent. Pay attention. Pay attention. And when you feel that it's going south, run, Forrest, run. But that was a really good movie, wasn't it? Anyway, I hope you have a great day. I hope you're blessed. I hope everything good happens for you. And just remember, when things start going south, things are looking a little cheesy around you. Maybe it's time to put on your Nikes and get the hell out of Dodge. Have a great day.